and happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in and for choosing to spend some of your time with me. I'm Maria Milagros. This is Wisdom Wednesday, a little space that I like to share nuggets and stories and knowledge that I've come across and experienced and, been through and worked with and helped my clients work with in order to continuously get us to next levels of healthy and happy. And when I talk about healthy, I'm talking about overall health, right? Mental health, emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, and happy. I'm talking about inner peace, that joy, that rooting, that knowing that everything is going to be okay, right? And the people who knew me when I was younger, when they meet me again, and I say meet me again because we're constantly evolving, right? When they meet me again, they're like, is this for real? Are you this person for real? Is this really who you are now? Yes, this is who I am. Because I am practiced at being this new person. And I've overcome a lot of the programming that has been instilled in me from my childhood and my teenage years by society, by my family, by the structures, by the systems, right? So it can happen and it's possible for everyone. We just have to be aware. We have to be intentional and we have to be willing to take action. No. Those are the three things I talk about over and over and over. So during the month of March, we're talking about intuition. And I wanted to start last month just by unpacking what is intuition and why are we so disconnected from it, and this idea that it's so woo-woo, right? It's so like, oh, it's mystical and spiritual. No, it's not. It's actually very natural. I think about birds and how when birds are born, they don't go to school to learn how to build a nest. They just intrinsically know. It's like this knowledge is encoded in their DNA. Right? Because their parents built the nest before they were even hatched. So it wasn't like, oh, I watched my parents build this nest and now I got an idea of how to do it. No, they just know. There's a knowing. And humans are also born with this greater knowing. But again, we are well trained, well practiced at following the program, right? Following the program of other people, of the status quo, of the system. And so we have learned to ignore our own spirit, our own guidance, whether you call it God or spirit or source or universe or your higher self or the next dimension or whatever you call it, this intuition, this guide that is going to continuously lead us to new levels of peace and happiness and joy and health. We ignore that to appease this stuff that we've been taught to appease. And it's when we return back to this practice, again, being aware that we're disconnected, being willing to be intentional, like I am going to do something about this, and then taking action on a consistent basis to rewrite that old programming. And I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, be kind to yourself because this process takes time. You are literally rewriting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, however many years of this old programming. And just like the birds have this kind of information encoded in them, we are passed down information from our ancestors. There is this knowledge, this trauma, this triumph, this ability, this feeling of unworthiness or worthiness can be literally passed down in our genetic coding. Like, oh my gosh, don't even get me started on the science and the quantum physics of it and epigenetics. Let's not even go there. Just do the research yourself and you will find that we are literally capable of passing on this information to our next generation, right? The Chinese have this this philosophy idea. I don't know exactly what to call it, but there was a woman that I met many, many years ago, and she told me that Chinese women believed that who you are at the time of your pregnancy, you pass that spirit to your child. So if you're in fear, you get a really fearful, anxious child. And if you're very happy and joyful, you get a very happy and joyful child. And in my mind, I'm like, that makes sense because that baby is growing from your cells, right? Like it's growing from your cells and your cells carry information and memory. I'm sure you've heard the stories of people getting donations, body part donations, and then having memories that aren't their own. And then when they check in with the family of the deceased, those are stories that person experienced. How does a liver know that story? Because cells carry stories, they carry information, they carry trauma, they carry triumph. So this body is this amazing, incredible vessel, not just in terms of what it can do for us physically, but what it can share for us in terms of wisdom, in terms of growth, in terms of overcoming, in terms of healing for generations. This body is amazing. Our bodies are so amazing. Okay. Before I go on another tangent about the body. So knowing that the bodies are amazing and knowing that they have lots of information, knowing that our spirits live in and around our bodies, right? Because our spirits are much bigger than we are. It's much bigger than this flesh, bone, and blood, but it does reside here and then out here, right? I'm getting so woo. Just come with me for the ride. Okay. So the spirit is bigger than the body, but it does reside here, and it uses this body as a mechanism to make things happen, to do things, to play, to have adventures, to explore, right? To feel all the feels, to taste yummy foods, to smell, to see, to have vision, so on and so forth. You get where I'm going. Okay. So this amazing body holds a lot of information, and we can tap into the body when we talk about intuition to help us find answers rather than going outside of ourselves looking for a thing or another person. We can tap into this first, because like I talked about last week, when we're seeking out advice from other people, if those people operate from a primary filter of fear, they're going to give you answers rooted in fear, and so on and so forth. So rather than look to them, it's best to go back here, to this connection with our greater source, to this connection with our spirit, right? And so I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do to help you. And it's going to sound crazy, but I don't care, because like, what do we have to lose? At this point, no holds barred, y'all. So 3 things that you can do to help tap into getting answers for yourself. All right. So the first is the one that my daughter loves to do. For me, it doesn't work, and I just like to believe that I'm so strong. But it's this finger lock. So you make 2 circles and you squeeze your forefinger and your thumb together like that. And then you ask a question, or you make a statement, or you say something, right? So for instance, in order for me to calibrate and decide what's yes and what's no, these all have to be yes or no answers. You can't ask your fingers to give you a full-on in-depth explanation. So I would say yes a bunch of times, let's say like 10 times, right? Yes, 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 yes. And then I'll try to pull, and there's a lock. It won't undo, right? And you don't have to stand there forever, like be aggressive. You just pull. It won't go. And then I say no, 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 no. And then I try to pull, and it unlocks. So for me, yes is locked and no is unlocked, right? Again, so if I wanted to calibrate, I would say my name is Maria, and I'd take a deep breath, knowing my name is Maria, and I would pull, and it locks, and then I would say my name is Rebecca, right? And my name is Rebecca, and I'll try to like really convince myself my name is Rebecca, and I pull, and it unlocks. So then I can ask, like, should I be eating this particular food? Yes. Oh, should I be, right? It sounds, it's kinesiology. This body awareness, this information from the body and spirituality have come together, and this amazing vessel can help us. My favorite one to use is the sway test. So I'll stand up, my feet are shoulder width apart. I take a deep breath. I root myself in, go soft on my knees, but I kind of pull up my torso, my core, my back, drop my shoulders, lift my chin so it's parallel to the floor. And then generally when you first start doing this, in order to avoid distractions, the best thing to do is to drop your eyes so that they meet the corner where the floor meets the wall, down in the corner. Because if things are moving around you or above you, it tends to distract, and then you're not focused inward, right? So you drop your eyes and then you ask a question, like, or you say yes, 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 yes. And as I'm saying it, I can feel myself slightly moving forward. And then I say no, 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 no. And I can feel myself pulling back. I'll say my name is Maria. Of course it is. I'm pulling forward. And I'll say my name is Rebecca. Of course it's not. And I lean back, right? So I'm kind of going through this pretty quickly because I want to give it to you and then let you play with it. This is a fun thing that you can do, again, to get information, to tap into your own intuition. And then the last thing is, if you're let me back up. Let me finish. So you're sitting and you close your eyes and you imagine a yes on one side and a no on the other, like 2 little signs. Maybe you assign them colors. Maybe they're just in bold letters. Maybe they're in pretty cursive, whatever. And you assign them on both sides of your head. And you can assign it this way or this way. It doesn't really matter. You get to decide. And then you're going to close your eyes and envision these two signs, yes or no. And then you ask the question. And when you do, this is so crazy because so many people do this and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so weird. I know, because you're not used to it. It's not weird. It's natural, but you're not used to it. So you envision these two and then you take a deep breath and one of them starts to move closer. And whichever one moves closer, the yes or the no, that's like your answer, right? Now, the reason why I know this works is because I've been using it for years now, and I use it all the time for like everything. And so I'll say, if I find myself getting excited about going on a trip, and then I start to do what I do from my programming and like, oh, but should I go on this trip by myself? I'm a woman in the world, and blah, 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 and I do that whole thing. And then I get myself all scared and full of fear. And then I'll say, oh, gross. Like, why did I do that? I really want to go on this trip and I feel like I'm going to be safe, but I'm telling myself this story that I'm not going to be safe, which could potentially create this thing in my story, which wasn't there before. So I'll check in with myself and say, should I go on this trip? And I can feel myself pull forward. And it's like, oh, okay. And then I'll go on the trip and guess what? It's magic, right? Another way that I do, another time that it worked for me, a friend of mine had a friend and she was so excited about this person. And she said, you have to meet this person. Oh my gosh, she's so amazing, blah, blah, blah. I was like, awesome, great. I'm willing to meet anybody. So I meet this person. And as I'm shaking this woman's hand, I feel my stomach contract and kind of like pull towards my spine. And I can feel, it's not huge. Like she couldn't see it. And I didn't like collapse myself, but I did feel this contraction. And I knew like intuitively that this meant, no, she will not be a person in my life. And so I thought, oh, okay, so I'm just going to trust that. And that was it. I didn't make friends with her. Like after that interaction, that was pretty much it. I would only see her whenever we were all together in a big group doing something mutual. And that was that. And then a few months later, my friend was like, you're never going to believe. And then told me this like slew of things that this person did that was really hurtful. And I thought, oh my gosh, I saved myself by trusting my instinct and really just believing when I felt my body respond with this inner knowing, this greater knowing, this inner knowledge. I trusted that. And that prevented me from having this like awful friendship. So I was like, oh, good job, Maria. And then there was another time where I'll test food too. I'll pick up an avocado at the supermarket or whatever. Like, is this what we need? Is this what I need? Is this what I need? And for real. Let me focus. And then I picked up my multivitamins and I felt my body pull away as soon as I took them out the cabinet. And my body pulled away and I'm like, oh, that's silly. You need your multivitamin. So I take my multivitamin and I keep taking it. And then a couple of weeks later, I go to the doctor's, I get some blood work done. And she tells me that I have these really high levels of all these vitamins. And she says, you eat so much fruits and vegetables anyways. Are you also taking a multivitamin? You really should stop taking those. And I knew because I felt my body do that thing. But the program said, you need your multivitamin. So I ignored and she's like, stop taking those. Like, if you're going to keep eating this way, just stop taking the multivitamins. It's too much, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, I knew, right? And other people that I know and clients that I know who use these little tricks, they're not tricks, they're actual tools. They're tools like a hammer or a screwdriver. They are tools to help build something amazing. What happens over time is that the more you use it and the more you trust it, the more it starts to move faster, right? And I'll like pick something up at the supermarket and I can feel my body pull away and I put it right down. And then I'll pick up another fruit and I feel my body, oh, okay, good, that's the one, right? Maybe that one went bad. Maybe there was some extra pesticide on that. I don't know. I just trust. And I can feel it happening like this. I meet people now, I don't even have to shake their hand. If I'm close enough, I can feel the push of the pull and I trust. Woo, that's it, done. There was a woman that I met and when I met her, I felt this kind of like pull in my chest, like towards her. We've been like such great friends ever since we met. And I'm like so glad that I trusted that pull. And she's this extraordinary human. And so I share this with you, these 3 little ways, in hopes that you'll be able to start using them, start playing, start having fun, start learning how to use your body to gather the information, to tap into your intuition, to live your best life, to make choices that are rooted in peace and love and joy, right? Because that's what you deserve. That's a super sparkly everything life, and that's the kind of life you deserve. Next level, glitter everywhere, all over the place. Well, maybe not glitter, it's hard to clean, but you get where I'm going, right? Like super sparkly, right thing. So, audible woo, I don't care. If you use it, you're going to get back to me in a couple of weeks or months and you're going to be like, OMG, it works. And I'm going to be like, I know. And if you don't use it and you think it's crazy, then that's okay too. That's okay too, because you are where you are. So that's all I have. It's longer than I wanted it to be. I love you so much. Gotta go. Peace. Peace.